Good evening to all of you. Thank you all for coming this evening. This is a very big night in the city of Lawrence, Kansas. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming this evening, taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us tonight. Tonight I conclude my 5th term as mayor in like the last 30 years. I served as my first term as mayor of the most incredible city in Kansas in 1985. Wow. It's not only humbling to sit here today and finish out this last mayoral term, but also to take time to reflect back on where our community has been and, more importantly, where our community is going. I am fortunate to spend each day of my life talking to people in our community about what makes Lawrence such a great place. Now, that doesn't mean that these conversations are without complaint or concern over city programs, some services, and some policies. What makes these conversations so important is that Lawrencians genuinely care about their community, the people residing here, and our priorities as a city commission. 2014 was a challenging year. Nonetheless, I think our community would expect nothing less from this body than to respond positively to the challenges and resolve to move forward and genuinely strive to make improvements resulting in positive changes and enhanced quality of life for our 90,000 residents. When I look back on the past year, I point to projects that present the culmination of years of work by elected officials, our citizens, community partners, and city staff. These projects include investing in jobs, training, and economic development. Lawrence Venture Park is a prime example of the public sector responding to the development needs of our community. The private sector was not able to step up and redevelop a former brownfield site. The city did. The city has transformed 200 acres of industrial zone property into developable building lots dedicated to primary jobs for Lawrence. Lawrence has made a concerted effort in previous years to invest in people and projects. Our partners, including the Economic Development Corporation, the Lawrence Chamber, the Lawrence School District, Douglas County, and private businesses and industry, have all come together to invest in the Dwayne Peasley Center, which will focus on job creation, job training, and skill development programs. We are taking steps to invest in the people who live and work in Lawrence. We're investing in creating better employees who are valuable to current and future employers located in Lawrence and Douglas County. In the city's most recent Economic Development Compliance Report, it is estimated for each dollar spent in public sector investment, approximately $5.40 in private sector capital investment is realized. As a commission, we've renewed our focus on supporting existing businesses and fostering entrepreneurship in the community. Investing in infrastructure. Infrastructure has been a top priority in Lawrence for several years. We've dedicated funding to street maintenance. Some of you remember those last summer, including the reconstruction of major intersections in our community, including 15th in Iowa, 23rd in Iowa, 6th in Iowa. We are relocating 31st Street in conjunction with KDOT's construction of the South Lawrence Traffic Way. A majority of 31st Street will open later this year, and the SLT will be completed in November of 2016. Last week, we approved $90 million in general obligation bonds to pay for water and wastewater service improvements, including the construction of a new wastewater treatment plant to provide capacity upgrades, which will allow our community to grow and provide this core city service. Topic: improving city services. As elected officials, we must pay close attention to the core city services that our residents have come to expect and appreciate. In 2014, we made structural changes to our solid waste program and added curbside recycling for our residents. Our residents have responded favorably to their changes, and we will continue the recycling conversation this year, including recycling of our commercial customers. Improving the quality of life for our community. The City Commission is passionate about making a better place for our residents. For families, we want to ensure our neighborhoods are safe. In the near future, the City Commission needs to talk about police resources and how we can make sure that facilities and staffing levels are appropriate in our community. We want to ensure that our residents, people of all ages, have abundant access to facilities which allow them to live a healthy and active lifestyles. Sports Pavilion Lawrence opened in 2014. Bob, thank you very, very much. With over 1,200 people at the grand opening, and nearly 20,000 Lawrence and Douglas County residents have signed up for key card access to the facility, and we are averaging 67,000 people per month using the facility for various reasons: personal health, tournament activity, or recreation program. The Lawrence Public Library reopened in its expanded location in 2014. I hope you all remember that day. It was a cool day in July. The voters approved the library project, and it has truly been an impactful and well-liked addition to downtown and our entire community. The City Commission is committed to moving forward with projects that enhance the livability of our community in our neighborhoods. This includes the 9th Street Corridor Project and the rental registration program. As a City Commission, we have also invested in programs which will preserve and sustain our core city services, including public safety, code enforcement, planning and development, and public transportation. So what's ahead? Even with all of the work that has been done, we're nowhere near completion. It is now up to the next City Commission to jump in where we've paused and to begin to have meaningful conversations about our community's public safety needs, decide a community-wide fiber policy, and to shape the city's cultural plan to preserve and to promote our significant social, artistic, and historic amenities. We're going to engage our community more in the conversations about where we are going and what needs to be done. We're going to talk about priorities and how we accomplish these projects with the resources that we have and within the context of where we want to be as a city. The citizens should know the city is financially secure, maintaining a strong bond rating, and has healthy reserves and a strong financial plan for the future. To our outgoing city manager, David Corliss, it has been an honor to serve on this commission with your leadership, guidance, and support. You'll be missed, and we wish you the very best. I want to take a moment to thank my fellow commissioners who I've had the opportunity to serve with in the past year. To Commissioners Mike Dever, Bob Shum, and Dr. Terry Reardon, it's truly been an honor and a privilege to be able to serve with you. You've each brought your perspective and professional knowledge to this team, and I've enjoyed working with you and discussing the needs of our community through the many conversations we have had in this room and throughout Lawrence. To Vice Mayor Jeremy Farmer, I look forward to supporting you as our mayor. I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart. You've proven that you have a passion and a commitment for this community, and it is now time for you to lead this commission. To my wife, Marilyn, you know, I should be able to say this and without even reading it, but no, it can't happen. The most sincerest of thank you for being, you know, my consummate supporter and, you know, my hectic kind of public life, which inevitably kind of bleeds into the house. You know, you've been my biggest supporter and my real sounding board. I want to thank you for always being my girlfriend and my best friend. To the guys I have at work, boy, oh boy, you're going to get me back. I want to thank you all for all of the extra work that you've taken on in the last year, and truly what you've meant to me and to our business. To the community, I look forward to serving you for another 2 years as a city commissioner. I'm anxious to work with our newly elected commissioners, Leslie Soden, Stuart Boley, and Matthew Herbert. It's a true privilege and honor to be able to serve with you. There is much to be accomplished over the next couple of years, and I stand ready to serve the Lawrence community, the community that I have loved all of my life. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to serve, It has truly been an honor and a privilege. I can't say enough on behalf of myself, my entire family. Thank you all very much. Well, now, rumor has it we have a meeting to run now. Gosh, thank you all again for coming this evening. Okay, the next item on our agenda is to proclaim the week of April 12th through 18th, 2015 as Week of the Young Child. Do we have representatives here this evening? Yes, we do. Come on in. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mary Amix. The purpose of the Week of the Young Child is to focus public attention on the needs of young children and their families, and to recognize the early childhood programs and services that meet those needs. It's easy to look into the eyes of a young child and wish them success in life. But for that to be more than a wish, we must reflect upon our community and what it is doing to support young children. There are 3 areas that concern me: living wage, affordable housing, and access to quality, affordable child care. Consider this scenario. 2 parents are working full-time at minimum wage jobs. In a year, they will earn $30,160. That's 126% of the federal poverty level for a family of 4. If that family pays a modest rent of $650 a month, they will spend 26% of their gross income on housing. Child care for that infant and preschooler will cost $18,553, 62% of their income. 88% of their income has now been consumed by housing and child care. That leaves 12%, $3,620 for food, clothing, and medical costs. I predict monthly trips to Just Foods. In all likelihood, sacrifices will be made in childcare. A preoccupied neighbor or family member will watch the kids while the kids watch TV. That hungry child with the runny nose who ended up spending his days in front of the TV at the neighbor's house will be behind his peers when he enters school. It is unlikely that he will catch up by the 3rd grade. By high school, he will have dropped out. Our wish for his success will not come true. During this Week of the Young Child, I would like to challenge you, this community, to find ways to ensure that this is not the fate of any child, not the 5,945 living in poverty in Douglas County, or the many more who float just above it. And now, accepting the proclamation on behalf of the children of Douglas County is Jackson Turner, son of Alicia and Clint Turner.
Okay.
Little boy. He's a little shy.
Well, how about if I read it first? How
You
about
can
that?
read it first.
Okay, why don't we do that? And Jackson, I'll be right with you, okay? Is that all right? Don't run off. This is a proclamation, whereas the Douglas County Child Development Association and many other organizations that provide early childhood care and education and support services to families with young children in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children are celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 12th through 18th, 2015. And whereas these organizations and many others are working to improve early learning opportunities, which are crucial to the growth and development of young children, and to build better futures for everyone in Lawrence, Kansas. And whereas all young children and their families across the country and in Lawrence, Kansas deserve access to high-quality early education and care, and whereas in recognizing and supporting the people, programs, and policies that are committed to the high-quality early childhood education as the right choice for kids, now therefore, I, Mike Amix, Mayor of the City of Lawrence, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of April 12th through 18th, 2015 to be the Week of the Young Child in Lawrence and encourage all citizens to work to make a good investment in early childhood. Thank you all very much to the commitment that you have to the kids of our community in Douglas County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okey-dokey. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are to be considered under one motion, will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion on those items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Are there any items on the consent agenda that a member of the commission would like to have removed for separate consideration? Just for old time's sake, item number 2, the claims. No, it's not even 2. I even messed that up. 3. Any items on the consent agenda that a member of the public would like to have removed for separate consideration? Okay. Hearing none, with the exception of item number 3, the claims, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion made and second to approve the consent agenda made by Commissioner Shum, second by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor of that motion, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0, 3-0. Explain to me again, under the claims, what are these items for under the vendors to Rock Chalk Park?
For easements and just minor, it's nothing construction.
Non-construction? Okay. Next week, as far as I'm concerned, we can add these all to the claims, roll things into the claims, because we got to buy the necessary supplies to make sure that it's up and operating, okay? So the items then before us on the claim, we have claims to 200 vendors, the amount of $1,708,050.42. Entertain a motion for approval of that item.
Moved.
Motion made in second, made by Vice Mayor Farmer, second by Commissioner Shum. All in favor of that motion, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item is to 3 vendors, Rock Chalk Park related items, in the amount of $102.17. Entertain a motion for approval.
Moved. Second.
Sure. Made by Commissioner Shum, second by Vice Mayor Farmer. All in favor?
Perfect record with
It's going around. All in favor of that motion, aye?
Aye.
that. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes 2-1, but it still passed. Okay,
You get the perfect record intact too.
we're even. Okay, city manager's report. David?
Just a few things for you to read. I'm not going to go over them this evening. We got other things to talk about.
That's it? Any questions of the city manager? Okay. Well, here we go. We need to receive comments from me and the city commission members. Gentlemen? I can. You want me to do that first? Okay. We do have 2 members who are out of town this evening, and they have passed along letters that they would like to have read, and I'd be happy to do that. This is from Dr. Terry Reardon, and it is, greetings. I am sending you a slightly modified note in that I added, let's see, where is it at? No, here it is. Sorry. I am unable to attend my last meeting as a city commissioner because I am at a continuing medical education seminar. I want to thank the citizens of Lawrence for allowing me the unique opportunity of improving the lives of all Lawrence citizens for the last 2 years as an elected official. I am proud of the accomplishments of the outgoing commission, with the rental protection program being the most important, and the second being the continued emphasis on improvements for infrastructure. I hope and pray that the next commission is able to meet these significant challenges before them. First, picking a new city manager. Second, providing community safety needs involving the police. Third, the significant challenges we face as a community in providing mental health support, not just for the citizens in the justice system, but all citizens of Lawrence. And fourth, modifying the wastewater treatment plant designed to meet the increased rate level. Lawrence is a great city on the verge of a new horizon, which is both a challenge and an opportunity that we can and must meet. I will enjoy Lawrence in my free time, and once again, I take this last opportunity to thank everyone for the privilege of serving our fine community. Respectfully, Terrence P. Reardon, MD. And then this is from Commissioner and former Mayor Mike Dever. I would like to take the opportunity to thank the citizens of Lawrence for the chance to serve our community over the past 8 years. Without the support of many neighborhoods and residents of the best city in Kansas, I would never have the opportunity to serve the city I love and help accomplish many things over time that I have served on the Lawrence City Commission. I also wanted to thank the sitting city commissioners and those that I have had the privilege of serving with over the past 8 years. I have learned so much from all of you and consider it an honor to have worked with you. We have so much to be proud of as a community, and I worked hard to learn as much as I could and invest as much as possible in the community as a whole, all while envisioning a future for Lawrence and also so that all citizens could enjoy. A reinvented library, East Lawrence redevelopment in the form of the Polar Lofts, and numerous city-sponsored streetscapes, bioscience and technology partnerships, miles of walking and biking trails, reinvesting in our core streets and infrastructure, a stable and growing public transportation system, the redevelopment of environmentally and visually blighted area that is now a robust, inviting business park, citywide single-stream recycling, and a state-of-the-art private recycling facility, and hundreds of millions of dollars of investment in the city of Lawrence by local and outside investors. Lawrence was open for business, and the citizens supported all of this and reaped the benefits. Despite some challenges involved in the development of the Sports Pavilion Lawrence, local residents and surrounding cities have chosen to embrace the facility that was envisioned by leaders in our Parks and Recreation Department and Advisory Board. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of additional sales, thousands of additional sales taxes will be collected by community every year because we invested our tax dollars in this facility. Thousands of citizens in our communities will embrace the opportunities for indoor and outdoor wellness and fitness as a result of the completion of this project. Thank you for allowing our city to lead the Midwest in wellness, indoor sport, and tournament activities. I believe we will not be disappointed by the internal and external impact of this complex. Finally, I want to thank my family and close friends for the support they have given me over the past 8 years. There are some sacrifices that are required when one serves on the city commission, but the greatest is the time away from home and the privacy that is afforded the average citizen. Thank you for always allowing me to invest the necessary time and energy to do the best job possible, and that is from City Commissioner Mike Dever. Now, you will notice there's a difference as I read that. Here's what they have for me, and this is what Mike provided me. I have decided that after 30 years, it's getting harder to see some of these things, but anyway. Okay, that is from our outgoing commissioners. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mike. I look out in the audience tonight and I see lots and lots of people that I know. In fact, of the people in the audience, almost, I would say 80% of them I've worked with over the last 4 years to help achieve their need and their cause. And it's been a great opportunity for me to work with a great cross-section of the citizens of Lawrence. They're wonderful people. They all have wonderful ideas and plans and programs. And as the two letter writers said, we did accomplish a lot. We had 2 excellent city commissions that I served on. The first city commission, including I think who was on, Aaron Cromwell and Hugh Carter, were 2 commissioners that retired 2 years ago. And then the 5 of us, those 2 commissions were excellent. We found a way to work together, and even though we had varying differences of opinion, we turned out a lot of positiveness and programs and projects for the community. The key was, as I said once before, is we learned how to work together and move things along. We didn't disagree with people on personalities. We had good debates on principles, and we were able to compromise and move projects forward. So it's been a great 4 years. It's been very productive. I wouldn't want to have served if we weren't productive. That's kind of in my DNA, is that I like to see things happen. Already we've seen some of the net results for the community in terms of we have added a number of net new jobs for the last 14 or 15 months. That's pretty good. We have increased our sales tax revenue by a real healthy amount. Last year, we increased our sales tax by 5%, and we budget 2%. So we put in place a number of opportunities and a number of draws to the city where we're enhancing tourism at a great rate. I think you're going to see that continue. I've made a prediction a couple times, is that we have enough assets set in place, and trying to get a few more if we get the wastewater treatment plant built and we get a few more things done, that we will see the greatest economic decade in the 20s that Lawrence has ever seen. There's enough there that's going to start working in our behalf. When that happens, your taxes should wander down in a downward path. You'll have enough economic activity. Growing the economy will give you more opportunities to do more with less tax dollars per person. So it's a great opportunity if we keep moving forward in a positive direction. I certainly want to thank the citizens for the opportunity to serve. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy and profit from the assets we've put in place for the community. I certainly want to thank my co-commissioners. I've really enjoyed working with you guys, and I worked with as well as Aaron Cromwell and Hugh Carter. I mean, it's just been great commissions to work with. And last but certainly not least, the staff. We have one phenomenal staff. I've worked with a number of staff members. Each and every department is staffed with highly skilled professionals that their main interest in their job is to create an environment that satisfies the citizens. They go way beyond where the norm is. And so that's been a great opportunity to experience that as well. You're in really good hands. To Dave Corliss, unbelievable leader, and it's going to be our loss and Castle Rock's gain, but I'm happy to see you and move forward in your career. So, and all the other city staff members that help him look good, which is everybody.
Yes.
I want to thank everybody. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you. So for me, good night. Best wishes to the newly elected City Commission, and I look forward to working with you. And thanks for the opportunity to serve once again. Thank you.
Gift time. You know, Bob, as many of you know, Bob's start on the City Commission was in 1979. And we've kind of known one another through most of those years, I think. And we had the great opportunity to be able to serve several times together, and always felt a real honor to be served side by side with you. There's been a lot of times we've had little squabbles and stuff, but that's okay. We kind of always got through. But one of the things that was important, and Bob mentioned a second ago, is one thing about it. At the end of the meeting, we were friends, because we would always count on one another, look after one another, and I think that's one of the biggest things that this is about. There's sometimes in this job that sometimes that the only friends that you may have is like the five that's sitting up here. So you kind of look after one another in a special way. But one of the things is I always want to make sure that, Bob, you understand the city of Lawrence appreciates anything and everything that you've always done on our behalf. Great vision, great hard work. We appreciate that. Going to be very hard to replace. Got some good young folks coming, but all the experience that you brought to this body really shows in our community today. We can't thank you enough for, the opportunity of having you here and being able to serve with you. Thank you.
Won't take too much time, do
Gotcha. You need scissors. Parking tickets, no. What is it?
Very, always been. Clock. That's very nice, thank you. Thank you all very much.
T-shirt?
Got a good rapper on the staff here.
You got a good deal on boxing.
We're getting there.
I need one of them blue barrels.
Oh, very nice. It's a very nice commemorative plaque for your last 4 years of service. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks again, Bob. Vice Mayor?
Well, it's been a real honor to serve alongside each of you, and we really kind of hit the ground running 2 years ago. One of the things that I was talking to Dave about a few weeks ago was we didn't have the benefit of having the study sessions when Terry and I got elected because we had Bob and Mike. And I just remember being up here thinking, what in the world did I get myself into? But it's extremely humbling to be a part of a team. And that's the nature of democracy in our community, is that there's a potential each 2 years for a new team. But I'm excited about having worked with this one. And I just look around and I've only been a part of this for 2 years. I mean, I don't want to make light of this. You started 4 years before I was born. And you got elected the year that I was born. And I mean, I can't imagine how much of an honor it is for you guys to drive around our community and just see projects that you had the opportunity to be a part of. I remember it 2 years ago, one of our forums, you had talked about how, was it west of Monterey Way, 15th and Monterey Way? I don't know anything but Monterey Way. And so it's just neat to be able to have learned from each of you. And it's been an incredible 2 years, and I've learned a lot about our community, about myself, and I'm extremely grateful to each of you. To Dave and the city staff, you guys make us look a whole lot better than we deserve. And thank you for providing us with information and for giving us the tools that we need in order to do our jobs successfully. Dave, I said it a few weeks ago, but we're going to miss you a lot. You've been here for 25 years, right?
24 and a half.
24 and a half. And this community is a better place because of you. And,
Thanks, Jim.
and I think that we have some great other city staff members that are going to be able to step up in your stead.
Absolutely.
And do a great job, and that's attributed to your leadership, so thanks. And to the community at large, I want to say thanks for the opportunity to be able to do this for the last 2 years and also for the next 2. I hope that we can continue to work together and partner together to make Lawrence, Kansas the best place to live and work and play. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy. Well, I promise these are my last comments tonight. Very quickly, I want to thank the public for giving me the opportunity to be able to serve in this job. I mean, this is the greatest opportunity one can have to be able to serve his or her community as a member of the governing body. In Lawrence, Kansas, what a special place to be able to be a part of the governing body. I mean, the staff that we have, the citizens that we get to work with, this is like the coolest place in the world. I got to tell you, it's just a good time. There's times when I may stay up late thinking, gosh almighty, how could I have made these decisions? But, you know, I stand behind all of them. As part of being the mayor, I didn't realize how much I really got to do. I just couldn't believe it. And I kind of hinted about this yesterday as we were announcing a new business coming to Lawrence, Kansas, and what a special day that you have to be able to do that on your last day as mayor. Your last day as mayor. I remember one time turning the gavel over to Bob, and on my last day as mayor in 1988, oh, we won a national championship in basketball. What a big deal. But this was even, you know, this was huge. No, I was still mayor during the game. Just kidding. But it doesn't matter. But no, being able to announce a new business coming, that was great. What a special way to end an exciting year. Back in June of last year, we got the opportunity to go to our sister city in Oiteen. What a special deal to be able to stand in Oiteen City Hall and to be able to see the City of Lawrence flag, you know, right out the window while I was talking. I mean, you talk about something that kind of took your breath away, but such a privilege to be able to represent everyone in our community is something that was so special on the 25th anniversary of the partnership and that we have with Oiteen, and appreciate the opportunity to have Bob there and just be able to experience that time with you. That was a great time. You know, Marilyn and I's son got married this last year, and I started thinking, wow, I've been gone a lot this year. How's this going to be? But it's such a great time, and you make those things happen. And one of the things to the new commissioners, you know, you got to be able to make sure that you, with all the responsibilities that you have, you make sure that there's family time and family time available. That is so important. I mean, those are the people that are always there for you. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of turned the reins over to Vice Mayor Farmer because I got an invitation to go to something that truly ended up being incredible. I was really surprised when the Army, specifically the Big Red One out of Fort Riley, invited me as a community leader to go out and watch training exercises at Fort Irwin, California. Now, if any of you have ever heard of this place, it's called the National Training Center. The National Training Center is right in the heart of the Mojave Desert. And I mean, talk about a place, and Bob, I do have some pictures to show you. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, 12,000 acres of sand and tumbleweeds. But to be able to experience the opportunity to see our men and women in the military, you know, do their job, that was something, you know, very special. And then probably, you know, being able to represent all of you in meeting President Obama, that was truly, you know, the real big deal for the last year. I mean, it really was. Being able to have a sitting president in our community and being able to be a part of that. It's been a heck of a year. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to be able to serve. It's one that I will truly never forget. Thank you all very much.
Mayor, before we conclude, we have something to present you, and the good news is, in the consent agenda tonight, there was an order in there to construct a brand-new 20,000 square foot home for you to put your gavel in. And so, I'm just kidding, that's a joke. But we appreciate your service to our community, and again, your fingerprints are all over Lawrence in so many ways, and we're a better community because you've been at the helm, and we're incredibly grateful for your leadership and for your charisma and passion. I can't think of a better person to have invited a sitting president to Lawrence, Kansas than Mayor Mike Amick. So congratulations and thank you.
Jeremy, thank you very much. Well, Bob, thank you all. There's some very special. We'll make sure that we get this up in the house, maybe tonight. Well, Bob, we got to invite some new friends.
Okay.
We appreciate.
I'll be here.
We'll take it. Okay. City Clerk, it is time to conduct the swearing in of newly elected city commissioners. Yep, they're all here.
Just Mayor, there has been one comment. The county commission canvass is Thursday. Will not change the results of what Diane is about ready to do. It's, you know, when you look at the math, it's possible that it might change the 2-year term or the 4-year term, but it will not change what we're doing this evening.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you all.
Good evening, ladies. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly and sincerely declare and
Solemnly and sincerely declare to affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of city commissioner
and faithfully discharge the duties of city
of
commissioner
the city of Lawrence
of the city of Lawrence
during the term which I was elected.
during the term which I was elected.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Well, guys, come on up. Just have a seat anywhere for everybody. So, congratulations, Matthew. Congratulations. Okay, thank you. Okay. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Very well, thank you.
Doing fine.
We're here finally.
Well, welcome to the Lawrence City Commission. We do have a matter to start with. We need to conduct the election of mayor. And my job in this is to receive nominations for mayor. So at this time, I will open the floor for nominations for mayor of the city of Lawrence, Kansas.
Well, I'll nominate Jeremy Farmer.
I will second that nomination.
Okay. Any other nominations? I will close the nominations. I will enter into the name of Jeremy Farmer as the next mayor of the city of Lawrence, Kansas. And we do have a motion in a second. No, we have a nomination in a second. But are we required to do that? Ms. Soden? Mr. Bowley?
I move that we.
No, we already did that.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Confusing
I'm
me
just,
now.
I'm really excited about this. So we have a motion made and second to approve Jeremy Farmer as our next mayor. It was made by Commissioner Soden, second by Commissioner Bowley. All in favor of that motion, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mayor. Move my junk.
Got it. I don't sit up quite as high as you, Mayor Amix, so
Because I'm little.
that's right. So the.
About hurt my back.
Fall right into that. So the next order of business for us, thank you all. The next order of business for us is to receive nominations for vice mayor, and I will open up the floor for that at this time.
I'd like to nominate Leslie Soden as Vice Mayor of the City of Lawrence.
Second. Motion made and seconded to nominate Leslie Soden for vice mayor for the city of Lawrence. Made by Commissioner Bully, seconded by Commissioner Herbert. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Vice Mayor Soden.
Thank you.
So now we'll open up the floor to each of you to
Okay.
make comments for whatever it is that you want to say. So,
I have some comments.
all right.
I feel a little low. I'm both thrilled and grateful to be sitting here today. Thank you so much to the voters that have put their trust and faith in me. I will do my best to make you proud. I want to thank the previous city commissioners for their hard work. Thank you so much for your service. During my 4-year term, I'm very much looking forward to working with city staff to get our budget priorities back in order. My first priority is public safety. We need to create a blue ribbon commission to look at the entirety of our public safety system, which includes the police, the fire department, the county jail, and the hospital. This blue ribbon commission will figure out where the holes and gaps in our public safety system are. As we have already seen, our first responders facilities need to be repaired and upgraded, and we need to be sure their pay is comparable to surrounding communities. I'm very much looking forward to working on mental health issues with the county, especially in creating a crisis stabilization center and a mental health court. Both of those programs will work to divert people from jail and the criminal justice system, which can become a lifelong financial trapdoor in terms of fees and fines. Treatment, not punishment, needs to be our focus. We as a city commission need to review and update our formal city commission goals. 2 new goals I suggest are number 1, strengthening public safety, and number 2, addressing mental health issues. Our budget and capital improvement planning can then be fixed around that after we update these goals and priorities. These are just some of the things that I plan on working on in the next 4 years. Thank you again to the voters for placing your faith with me when you cast your vote last Tuesday, and I will do my very best to represent the people of Lawrence.
Thanks, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be seated here this evening. I want to thank the previous commissioners for their service to the city. I'd also like to congratulate Ms. Mayor Farmer on your elevation to that role. I already need to say thank you to city staff. They've been very welcoming to me, and I appreciate that. Thank you to my friends and my family, my children, my sisters, my parents, and my wife for your constant support. Thank you to the citizens of Lawrence for providing me the opportunity to serve as a commissioner. I will do my best to learn and work for our wonderful community. It is my hope that we will come together as a commission and come together as a community to meet the issues, challenges, and opportunities that we face.
echo a lot of those things. This is truly an honor to be up here this evening. It's the first time I've had the opportunity to speak in this room and not be on the 3-minute shot clock. So I promise to keep it under 3 minutes just out of tradition. There have been 3 times in my life when I've been absolutely overwhelmed by the support I've received. The very first time was when I was offered my first job. I had absolutely no experience. There was absolutely no reason to entrust children's lives in my hands, and yet I was extended an opportunity to do that, and people trusted their kids with me, and that was the first time I was ever truly overwhelmed by a response. The second time came about 3 years later when my girlfriend at the time told me that she would be willing to spend the rest of her life with me. I live with me every day, so I understand that challenge. So that was truly overwhelming. And tonight would be that third time. Last Tuesday, I went to the courthouse pretty sure that I wasn't going to pull this off. Bob Shum did an amazing job for the city for a very long time. Dr. Reardon has had an amazing reputation in this city for a very long time. And I was quite sure that there was no way I was going to surpass those 2 gentlemen. And you know, about 5,743 people showed up that Tuesday, and I can never repay you for that. And so my big goal is that the next 2 years that I can do something to truly earn what you have done for me. So I thank you very much.
To our new commissioners, I want to welcome all of you again. I look forward to working with you over the next couple of years. It's going to be a great time, a lot of work ahead of us. So it's going to be super. Vice Mayor, congratulations on your new role. Anytime you have questions, if I can be of help, please feel free. If not, you know, I'll be around here somewhere.
You're not cutting my hair.
Okay. There you go. You sure? Mayor, anything that you need me to help with and you need me to step up and do, don't hesitate. I'm always around. Look forward to serving you in any capacity you need me to do, okay? Congratulations to all of you. It's going to be good. Okay.
I want to thank this commission for placing their trust in me and giving the opportunity to serve in this capacity for the next year. I'm truly honored. Thank you. In the past 2 years, and I came back to Lawrence in July of 2011 to work with a wonderful organization called Just Food. And then I ran for city commission in 2013 because I wanted to serve my community in another capacity. And the past 2 years, I've tried to be thoughtful and diligent with dealing with city-related issues and tried to make the best possible decisions for our community. The mayor in Lawrence is really, it's not a big deal. It's more of a ceremonial position than anything else. It's 1 vote out of 5. And I will continue to do whatever I can to research my opinions, listen to everyone in our community through various avenues, and make the best decision that I possibly can. I will do my best to lead our commission through what will be a very important year. Everyone up here is elected, and everyone up here is equal. We have a lot on our plate, starting with the hiring of the new city manager, that we need to discuss as a commission and with our community as to the qualities that we want in the next person to sit in very big shoes that we have to fill. I remember what my great-grandpa Hargadine used to tell me frequently, and I said this 2 years ago, and I want to say it again tonight, that we don't have to see eye to eye to walk hand in hand. We must all commit to working together and building trust with our community and also with each other. This year will be a year that will be dedicated to transparency, openness, and authenticity. Recently, we began listening sessions for capital improvements, and I started writing a weekly blog and hosting conversations with your commissioner meetings 3 times each month. I will continue hosting these sessions and encourage my fellow commissioners to devise ways they can ensure they are accessible and open to the public. We will be rolling out an open source software to get input on various projects happening around our community called Open Town Hall. I recently proposed on my blog a different structure for how we do commission meetings. So much of what we do each week is very transactional, and we need to be committed to garnering support and rebuilding trust and bridges with our community. If we're unable to decide on changing some of the way we do commission meetings, I will propose that we have more study sessions and allow public comment at those study sessions. Starting tonight, the shot clock will be no more. We want to hear from you. I said during the campaign 2 years ago, and I mean it now more than ever, your voice matters. I want to thank my mom, who's here, who I love with every ounce of my soul, who has been my biggest cheerleader and my biggest supporter. We talk every day and multiple times a day usually. Mom, I love you, and I'm so glad that you're here tonight. Thank you. And also, I want to thank those couple other family members that are watching tonight. I got a video from my niece who's going to turn 2 in June, and she said, my sister-in-law said, "Tell Uncle Jeremy that you love him," and she said, "Love you, Mimi." And so I want to say thanks to all the rest of my family and to my friends that are here for your incredible support, those who have been on the board of Just Food in the past and currently on the board of Just Food, and those who have served in capacities to really be sounding boards for me. I'm eternally grateful for you, and I cannot thank you each enough. The city staff, we're going to have a great year, and I'm looking forward to working with each of you so very much. And again, Dave, we're very much going to miss you. So thank you all so much for the opportunity and the trust that you've placed in me to serve in this position. And I believe, just as I've said many times before, that the best is yet to come. Thank you. All right, we need to adjourn for a little bit to go out and meet and greet folks and have some conversations with those that are here. And so I would entertain a motion to adjourn for a period of approximately 20 minutes, a recess, I'm sorry, for a period of approximately 20 minutes before we begin our open orientation session.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Amix to recess for approximately 20 minutes, seconded by Commissioner Herbert. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We are in recess.
Look at these pictures.
Welcome back to April 14th City Commission meeting. We have on regular agenda item number 6, an orientation session with City Attorney Tony Wheeler on the Open Meetings Act and other items for approximately 1 hour. So, Tony, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce to you Maria Kaminska, who works in my office as an Assistant City Attorney. She will appear before you regularly, and her primary responsibilities is to advise the police and fire departments, but she works on a number of other matters for the city and definitely wants to work towards fulfilling your goals as well. Thank you. All right, tonight we are going to talk about 2 very important laws, the Kansas Open Meetings Act and the local conflict of interest laws. The purpose of the Open Meetings Act is to ensure that the business of governing is done in full view of the public. The legislature adopted this law in 1972 when a number of states across the country were reacting to the Watergate scandal and wanted to make transparency and open government the practice. The law is intended to promote an informed electorate, to increase trust in government, and to curtail corruption. Lawrence's very own Danelle Taha wrote an article in a 1977 Law Journal on the Open Meetings Act that I think is still very relevant. I'd like to read a quote from it. She says, "The open meetings principle is based on the basic belief that people have a right to know the public business and that public knowledge and information is essential to the effective functioning of the democratic process. The right of the public to participate in the democratic process includes the right to be informed. It is not sufficient that final decisions and policy determinations of public bodies are reported. If the public is to judge the strengths, weaknesses, and policy positions of its elected representatives, it must be able to look behind the final decision and scrutinize the process of decision-making." The Open Meetings Act applies when the body involved is a covered entity and there is a meeting. The Open Meetings Act law applies to all political and taxing subdivisions of the city that receive or are supported by public funds, and that clearly applies to the Lawrence City Commission. The Open Meeting Act applies when there is a meeting, and all 3 of these conditions must be present for there to be a meeting. 1, there has to be a gathering of a majority of the members of the body. There has to be interactive communication, and there has to be a discussion of the business or affairs of the body. Please note that there is no requirement that the meeting be prearranged, or scheduled, or even intended. If these 3 elements are present, there is a meeting, and the act may apply to that situation. If we look at, go ahead.
So if we're invited, all of us as a body are invited to an event, and we meet, all of a sudden we end up in a corner together, and those 3 things are met, it's a violation.
Right. If you can go to public functions, and I'll address that in a later slide, it's totally appropriate for you, and you will all be invited to a number of public events. You can be there, you can be in the presence of one another, but you should refrain from discussing the specific business of the City Commission at those meetings, and just enjoy it as a public function. Really, your decision-making and your deliberation should occur in public meetings where notice has been given to those who've requested it. Okay? So getting back, a majority of the membership for the City Commission is 3. So whenever 3 of you are together, that is one of the elements of a meeting. The next element is interactive communication. So this clearly applies when you're in the presence of one another and communicating directly with one another, but also can apply in telephone conversations, including conference calls. It can apply in work sessions, staff briefings, and online communications when there is an opportunity for contemporaneous interaction between you. The third element of a meeting is a discussion of the business, of the public's business, and that's what triggers the application of the Open Meetings Act. It's not required that it's not required that a vote or binding action be taken for the law to apply. It is merely the discussion. So again, this goes to your point, Mike. You can be at Commissioner Amix, you can be present at social gatherings, if there's no discussion of the business of the body. And you can attend conferences together, and you can receive information or discuss items of general interest, as long as you don't discuss the specific business of the Lawrence City Commission by a majority, by 3 of you. I want to take a moment to address electronic communications, since they are such a big part of our lives these days, and such a source of convenience and efficiency. The Attorney General has indicated that the mere fact that a communication is electronic doesn't raise an open meetings issue, but if a majority of the body uses an electronic communication to engage in interactive discussions, that it could raise a COMA issue. So it's fine if you send a single email to other commission members, and that likely would not be considered a violation. But if you're sending multiple emails and there's a sort of an online discussion, then that very well could be something that would cause an open meetings issue to arise. So our advice is to just use caution when you are emailing one another. Avoid initiating an online discussion with your fellow commissioners through email. You are certainly going to receive emails as a city commissioner about a city manager, and all of your co-commissioners will also be on that. It could be from a member of the public who is upset about a road project, or it could be from an advisory board member that wants to invite you to an event. They will send an email to all 5 of you. We would just suggest and recommend that you avoid replying all, hitting that reply all function on the computer, and starting an instantaneous chat among you. So it's certainly fine to receive those emails, just be cautious in how you respond to them. I also want to take a moment to address serial meetings, which is also something in the Open Meetings Act. There could be a violation of the Open Meetings Act if collectively those meetings involve a majority of the membership of the body, so for the City Commission, 3 of you, if they share a common topic of discussion concerning the business or affairs of the body, and they are intended by any or all of the participants to reach an agreement on a matter that would require binding action to be taken by the body or the agency. I want to give you a scenario that would demonstrate this to help you understand this concept. Commissioners 1 and 2 meet and decide that the city's street maintenance program has just been top-notch, and to express their gratitude to the Public Works Director, Chuck Souls, for his execution of the program, they want to rename Massachusetts Street Chuck Souls Way. Knowing that that might be a little controversial and may generate a lot of public comment, especially since the shot clock's going away, they decide to bypass the public meeting and just pitch the idea to their fellow commissioners. Commissioners 1 and 2 reach out to the other commissioners individually and get their vote or decision that the street name change is appropriate. And a majority then supports that decision, and new street signs are then made and installed. That would be a situation or an example of how a serial meeting could occur. Of course, that situation would never arise because, staff would not help in that manner. But we just want to give an example of how, you could inadvertently, try to talk to your co-commissioners about something, make a decision away from a public meeting, and have some action follow that. That's would not be appropriate. You really should save those deliberations for a public meeting so that the public can participate or listen to your discussions on that topic.
Question again. If 3 of us are invited to go to be part of a panel, and we don't know that the other 2 are going to be there, and the questions involve a city issue, because it's not advertised, are we in violation at that point?
Well, the city manager's office works really hard to be aware of those events and the potential situation where 3 commissioners could be present at a public meeting. And I think we do a very good job of putting that on our agenda and giving notice to those people that have requested notice. Dave?
Yeah, Commissioner, I think you bring up a good point. There'll be some times when you all will be invited to a neighborhood gathering on a particular issue, and staff doesn't know about it. It's certainly not inappropriate that we don't know about it, but we'd like to. So it's usually helpful for us to just maybe get copied in on that. So you all have to help us on that regard as well. Let's say that somebody along Bob Billings Parkway says, I want to talk to the commissioners about the necessary improvements along Bob Billings Parkway as the K-10 interchange gets set up. We're having those discussions, but maybe staff's not invited. We may not know about it. And you say, who all is going to go to a meeting next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock along Bob Billings Parkway? If we don't know about it, we then can't follow through on our duty to let everybody know about a public meeting. They may not want it to be a public meeting. It might be in somebody's dining room. They may just, but then what they need to understand is that they can't have more than 2 city commissioners there. So sometimes we have to educate members of the public. You all need to help us know about those types of things. It may be appropriate not to have staff there, but if you have more than 2 commissioners there, you're going to have a problem, because it's very likely you're going to be discussing the business of the city, and it's not an open meeting. So you all need to help us on that. But when we find out about those things, we're adding items. You might notice that we added to the agenda today the fact that there was a news conference at the BTBC in regards to the economic development announcement. Well, we put that on, even though the media was obviously already invited, but it was an opportunity where there might be more than 2 city commissioners at that event. So there needs to be that dialogue. You need to help us out as well, because it could end up being a problem. Thanks.
Okay, so reviewing, the Open Meetings Act applies when the body is covered by the law and there is a meeting. And a meeting, again, requires all 3 elements: a majority of the membership of the body, an interactive communication, and members discussing the business of the body. If the law does apply, then the act specifies certain requirements that have to be met. The Open Meetings Act requires that meetings be open to the public and proper notice be given. Meetings must be held in places that are accessible to the general public, and they must be conducted so that members of the public can observe or listen to the proceedings. As I was preparing for tonight's presentation, I just did a search online of Open Meetings Act, and I came across a number of newspaper articles. There are cities across the United States that are grappling with the Open Meetings Act, and there is a township in Illinois that is currently being investigated by the Illinois Attorney General's office because they received several complaints because they held a meeting but locked out a number of members of the public as they were discussing rate increases for their sewer charges. The room had met its capacity. They didn't want to over-occupy the meeting room, so they locked doors. But now they're currently being investigated for not having a meeting that was open and accessible to the general public. So it still is a real issue and things that we have to be mindful of. The next thing that the law requires is notice. The date, time, and place of any regular or special meeting must be given to any person requesting such notice. The Act doesn't require that notice be given within any particular time. It just has to be a reasonable amount of time, and the circumstances will dictate what is reasonable. And notice must first be requested before a body is required to provide it. A couple of notes on agendas. The Open Meetings Act doesn't require that an agenda be prepared, but if the body does create one, it should include the topics that are planned for discussion, and if agendas exist, they should be available to those who request them. And agendas can be amended. Now I want to turn the discussion to executive sessions or closed meetings that are not open to the public. The legislature has provided an opportunity for governing bodies to have closed sessions. They can be useful for discussing very important topics while protecting other interests, privacy interests, and so on. The law does allow 16 topics that can be discussed in executive session. Of those 16 permitted topics, our City Commission most commonly meets in executive session to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel, consultation with the body's attorney, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, Employer or employee negotiation matters can also be discussed behind closed doors. And preliminary discussions related to the acquisition, not the sale, but the acquisition of real estate. The law does require that certain procedures must be followed before an executive session is convened. The body must first meet in an open meeting. There must be a formal motion seconded and carried that contains a statement that includes the justification for the closure, the subject to be discussed, and the time and place where the meeting will resume. This process must be recorded in the minutes and part of the permanent record of the body. And then binding decisions are not and cannot be made in executive session. It is permissible for a general consensus to be arrived at, but any formal and binding action needs to take place in a public meeting. There are ramifications for violation of the Act's requirements. The district attorney or the attorney general investigates alleged COMA violations, and the attorney general has stated that it's his office seeks compliance with the Act, and his office wants to assure that future violations do not occur. They may require the body to receive additional COMA training if they find it appropriate. If, however, there is a pattern of willful disregard for the law's requirements, the district or attorney general may take individuals to court and seek civil penalties, court costs, attorney's fees. There can be invalidation of actions and even removal from office. I just remind you that the Open Meetings Act is a civil statute, not a criminal statute. All right, well, that concludes our discussion of the Open Meetings Act. I'm now going to turn to the local conflict of interest laws, another set of statutes that U.S. commissioners now need to be mindful of. The Kansas conflict of interest laws attempts to achieve a fair balance to ensure that public office is not used for private gain. The Act doesn't define conflict of interest, rather it refers to substantial interest, and it requires statements of substantial interest to be filed by elected officials and other officials at various times as set forth in the law. What is a substantial interest? It is ownership by an individual or spouse of any business interest valued at more than $5,000 or 5% of any business, whichever is less. Receipt by an individual or his or her spouse of $2,000 or more from any business or combination of businesses in the preceding calendar year. Holding the position of officer, director, partner, or proprietor of any business, regardless of compensation received. However, there are special exceptions for positions held with certain tax-exempt organizations. A substantial interest also includes receipt by an individual or a spouse of a fee or commission of $2,000 or more in the preceding calendar year, or the acceptance of certain gifts that have a value greater than $500. These statements of substantial interest are filed with the city clerk's office, and the city clerk then forwards them to the Douglas County Clerk's office. The law also requires that public officials abstain from making or participating in the making of any contract with any business in which the official is employed or has a substantial interest. Abstaining from action on a contract is not required for contracts let after competitive bidding has been advertised for by published notice, or in situation where contracts for property or services is set and fixed by law. For other matters, before an official can act upon any other matter that will affect a business in which the officer or employee holds a substantial interest, an elected official must have filed a statement of substantial interest reporting the nature of the interest, or they may abstain from any direct or incidental action on that matter. If they do those things, then they will be fine. You will be fine. There are also penalties for violation of the local conflict of interest laws. Failure to file the statement of substantial interest, whether the general one or specific, can be a misdemeanor. And if you're convicted for participating in making of contracts in violation of the act, that will result in forfeiture of the office, and that is also a misdemeanor. The Kansas Ethics Commission in Topeka does issue advisory opinions on the interpretation or application of this law. And if there is ever a question about whether this law applies in your situation, you are welcome to seek an advisory opinion from the Ethics Commission. The law provides that if you seek an opinion and you follow that opinion, you will not be found in violation of the law. And here we provide the contact information for the Ethics Commission in Topeka and their telephone number, and we'd encourage you to keep that in your records and use that as appropriate. With that, I would stand for any questions, and I do appreciate your attention to these matters.
Thank you, Tony. Commissioners, do we have any questions for Ms. Wheeler?
No questions, just one comment. As we should take the Kansas Open Meetings Act very serious. It is something that the public places so much trust in how we conduct their business. We want to make sure that it is always open to them. And it's an extremely serious matter if you have to go through open meetings classes. So, but you learn a lot.
Thank you very much. I appreciate those comments very much. It is a very important law, and it is one that we all need to take very seriously.
Commissioners, would you have any objections to directing staff to place this up on the agenda for tonight's website so the public can have access to it for those that didn't have the benefit of being here?
Absolutely.
That'd be okay? Okay. Tony, thank you.
Thank you.
It says in other items, orientation and other items.
Mayor, we can talk a little bit about agenda structure. I think that might be just valuable, just make sure everybody's on the same page as we talk about the pages of the agenda. Had the benefit of talking with the new commissioners today, but want to make sure that we understand the structure of the agenda. And then when we get to the calendar portion, I think we'd like to talk a little bit about possible study session opportunities. Just so that the full commission understands the process by which we put the agenda together. We work with the mayor on Wednesday and Thursday to create the agenda. The mayor is the presiding officer of the meeting and has the opportunity to help set that agenda. On Wednesday, tomorrow, we are in the process of assembling agenda items. Sometimes we'll see those early and we'll go ahead and forward those on to you. You're not doing anything other than just getting them ahead of time, so an opportunity to read them. We've got usually a draft of an agenda by late Wednesday. Our goal is to try and send that out to everybody just to kind of let you know what's on it and what our thinking is. It's not the final version. It doesn't have any of the attachments, but it's some idea of where we're at in regards to assembling the agenda. Then through the day on Thursday, we're making contact with the mayor, and the different staff is assembling the agenda. Bobby is working to proof the items. Other staff are proofing the items, and then we try and get the agenda out, obviously, before the close of business on Thursday. We then meet with the mayor and the vice mayor. Traditionally, we've met on Monday mornings to go over the agenda, to see what holes there are, what questions may have been raised, those types of things. The structure of the agenda hasn't changed too much over the years with proclamations. Really the only filter that we have on proclamations is that it have a local sponsor, and then it'd be something appropriate for the city commission to consider. If you get those type of solicitations, you can certainly send them our way. They seem like they're seasonal. There's a bunch of them in the spring, a bunch of them in the fall, and then they kind of filter out throughout the rest of the year. You're approving your own minutes. Diane, Brandon, and others work to go through those. Those are summary minutes. They're not verbatim minutes. We obviously have the benefit of a tape, so that if citizens want to know actually what happened, they can see the meeting that way. You then receive the minutes of different city boards and commissions. approve claims. We call them claims. They're basically authorizing the cutting of checks. We spend, it's online what we spend. We have a $188 million budget, and so we end up probably spending that amount of money through either payroll, which is sometimes a claim. We have a payroll every other week, roughly $2 million. I like to say we try and meet payroll every other week, $2 million. And then we have claims, and they vary throughout. Through our accounts payable process, we try and get the claims paid on time. They're approved in our office ultimately, but primarily most of the work is done in finance, and you'll see that listing. I think we've now tried to get that out to you a little bit ahead of time, but it's always posted the day after as far as what's been listed. These are always previously approved types of payments or something that's already budgeted. The city manager has the authority to spend up to $15,000 on items. Anything over that, when there's a few exceptions, require city commission approval, have to require getting quotes and bids, those types of things pursuant to our purchasing policy. Licenses go through Diane and Brandon. We don't license as many things, quite frankly, as most communities do, but we do have some licenses that are approved. Appointments. The mayor drafts the appointment memo. Actually, Bobby does, but pursuant to the mayor's direction, she drafts an appointment memo where the mayor recommends appointments to the various city boards and commissions. The last time I counted them, I think there were 41, and I think we're pretty much at 41 or 42 different city boards and commissions. We've got, I think, a really good website where we list the responsibilities of those boards and commissions, their current roster, some of their agenda. Some of the boards are a lot more active than others. Stuart, I know you and I were talking. You served on the Traffic Safety Commission, a very active board. Some of them maybe are not as active as others. But some of them have statutory responsibilities, some of them don't. But that's where you see appointments. And again, on all of these consent agenda items, I think you all know from watching our meetings, the consent agenda is all approved in one motion unless the commissioners or a member of the public, or heaven forbid, staff finds out, oop, there's an error and we've got to pull it because it's not as ready as we thought. But that's all part of the consent agenda. Then we have bid and purchase items. Those are items, again, that largely have been budgeted, but they rise to the dollar amount, or in some cases just the prominence that you all need to approve them. We have a purchasing policy whereby we get quotes or bids on items. We also then go through a selection process for design services for architects and professional services, those types of things, and you'll see that as well. Readings of ordinances, resolutions, other items that deserve to be on the consent agenda. As a matter of practice, we have said that if it's a unanimous recommendation from the Traffic Safety Commission, a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission, and we know of no other reason why it needs to be on the regular agenda, it's on the consent agenda. If we know that a citizen's going to want to come and talk about it, we'll try and put it on the regular agenda. If we know it's a prominent project, even if it is even if it is unanimous, we'll do that. So that's the general theme. The one thing that commissioners have tried to follow is if they've got a question about a consent agenda item, a lot of times they'll go ahead and let me know about it. I'll try and respond to it. But if they still want to pull it, then we'll try and let the whole commission know, hey, this is likely to get pulled. You might want to read it more thoroughly than maybe you've had a chance to do that. Because sometimes when you're trying to pick what you're going to study, you may not study what's on the consent agenda as much. You're obviously going to read it, but you're going to spend more time looking at the regular agenda items. Again, your choices, your views. But we do spend a little bit of time on that. City manager's report is something that we've tried to develop where it's just items of interest, news. Hopefully it's not just always good news, although I don't necessarily like to put bad news on the city manager's report. We do that on occasion. But there's some monthly reports, some other reports that we think are worthy of your view and consideration. But it's helpful for us to communicate and more importantly, communicate to the public about what's out there. And then the regular agenda is where we put really the major items of decision and direction from the commission. If it doesn't need specific direction or choice, sometimes we'll put it on the consent agenda. But generally, if it requires a choice, or if it's a non-unanimous recommendation, or if it's a large major item, we'll put it on the regular agenda. And it's it's a little bit of an art, a little bit of a science. Some of us have been successful at it, sometimes we haven't been. I've been putting this together for 24 years. It's been my responsibility since I've been a management analyst to put the agenda together. I understand that there's other communities that don't require the manager to do that. So that may be something that will change going forward. That's the one thing that we've tried to do in setting up the agenda over time is if there's things where we know we're going to have public participation, for example, next week we're going to have a public hearing to vacate, which means remove an easement. It's an existing subdivision. State law requires us to have a public hearing, so we can't put it on the consent agenda. It has to be on the regular agenda. Don't have any reason to think it's controversial, but the applicant will probably want to be here to make sure that it happens. We don't necessarily want them to have to sit through 2 hours of something that doesn't have anything to do with that, so we'll put it towards the front. Try and put those type of things towards the front, kind of the meat of the agenda in the middle, and then the things where really it's just staff asking for something, or we need direction, we'll put it towards the end. Staff eats last. We're here anyway. The public is gone, so we'll do that. So there's a little bit of how we've thought about organizing it. Again, it's really the mayor's choice as the presiding officer, and ultimately it's the city commission's choice about how you want to organize your meeting. And it's just, a lot of this is because of how we've thought about it in the past. Doesn't mean that you can't change any of this. You can change a lot of this, is how you want to organize your meetings. We have public comment. Some communities have public comment elsewhere on the agenda. We have it towards the end. I started up a future agenda items. This actually needs a little bit of tending to now. Our goal with that is to give you some idea of what's going to be on a future agenda, so that if you're wondering, well, I wonder where is that issue, or what's going to work well for the applicant. So we had the 12th and Haskell rezoning issue that was going to be on the agenda. I think last week we've had some comments from the neighborhood, so we're kind of in this period. What's going to work? Obviously didn't work tonight, so I think we've scooted it off to the 28th. I think that works for the applicant. So you've already got that there. We know that we're going to have the recommendation on the Wakarusa wastewater treatment plant on the 28th. That's what we're aiming for. We'll hopefully be able to give you that memo a little bit ahead of time so you can start reading it. That's a huge decision. I think I have said it's going to be one of the most important decisions that's made in this room this decade, as far as being able for the community to grow and those types of things. So we're going to get you that information and walk you through all of that. Tried to give you that a little bit ahead of time. It's not always been all that successful. Sometimes things get moved out. There's not really a reason to move on things. We probably need to clean that up just a little bit. Then commission items, and this is something that I want to be clear about, is that this is an opportunity for a commissioner to bring up a particular item. So I think some, particularly commissioners that are new to us, say, well, how do I bring up an idea, an issue that I want to talk about, or I want it to be considered? This is an opportunity on the agenda where you can do that. And if you can find 2 other commissioners that agree with you, we'll put it on a future agenda. That's just how it works from parliamentary procedure. We've talked a little bit about how we organize our meetings. And one of the key things I want to make clear is that we've always kind of had a little bit more of an informal process. I'm going to a community, they have a very formal process. They might have to get used to that, or I won't be there very long. But I think we've had parliamentary questions maybe once or twice in my quarter of a century coming into this room. Robert's Rules of Order, every once in a while, I think a couple times we've had a question about how do we do a motion to reconsider and stuff like that. We've been very informal because we've ruled more kind of by consensus about process. You all may want to change that, but we traditionally haven't had that. And that's a good observation on your point about how you want to organize things. But commission items is an opportunity for you to say any item for a commissioner. One of the things that you'll learn, and I've tried to say this as I've briefed you all, we don't like surprises. You definitely don't like surprises from staff. Your other commissioners may not like a surprise either. So you might want to communicate ahead of time and say, I'm going to bring up the issue of such and such under commission items just to give you a heads up, and we'll talk about it. Because otherwise, you might be asked to respond very quickly or whatever, gives you a little bit of cogitation time to think about it. Again, we're not requiring you to do any of that, but it's just an opportunity to think about that. So that's how you can get items introduced. And then fall calendar. This is one of the ways that we communicate to the public about where you're going to be for COMA purposes, Kansas Open Meeting Act purposes, and just other things. Bobby will work with you as much as she can to help you with calendaring. As you're going to learn, there's a lot of people that demand your time. I always think the difference between running for office and being in office is that when you're running for office, everybody wants to know your views. Now they want to know what you can do for you. So they're going to invite you to things, not because they're interested in what your view is, because they want to tell you something. You're going to get a lot of invitations. We'll try and work with you on that, and you see a lot of different things here. You shouldn't feel obligated to attend any or all of them. Some of them are just more a notice to what's going on in the community. You also see a meeting list as well, as she tends to. The Chamber of Commerce sponsors ribbon cuttings. They like to share that responsibility with commissioners. It's a great opportunity to welcome new businesses to the community and get to know a lot of other community members, so you'll get invited in that. So we put that down, and we try and share that. So a lot of times commissioners will say, well, I can't make that now, so they'll share that back and forth, and you see some of that. So that's, Mayor, what I wanted to do is just kind of walk people through the general theme of the agenda. The only other thing is then we've got vacancies for boards and commissions, so you get an idea that when you've got 40-some different boards and commissions, sometimes we go through recruitment phases and things like that. We might want to step up a little bit on that. The mayor makes that recommendation, as I pointed out earlier, under the appointment memo, and then you all get a chance to vote on that. So that's basically your agenda. That's really what I wanted to cover, Mayor, until we want to get to the calendar portion where we talk about maybe some opportunities for study sessions. So I'd be happy to respond to any questions that you might have about the agenda.
With regards to the Kansas Open Meeting Act, do you need us to inform you of our calendar regularly, even when you've made the events public here on the agenda?
Commissioner, I think the best way to say is that if you're going to attend like the Bob Billings Corridor Project meeting on tomorrow night, we don't need to know that necessarily. It might be good to know so that staff that's there could introduce you, make sure that that's part of that, but we don't need to know that for open meetings purposes because we've noticed it. But again, it's scenario, and it has happened where a neighborhood has invited commissioners. We didn't know about it. They didn't know about the Open Meetings Act, and there's 3 commissioners in somebody's living room, and they're all kind of wondering, uh-oh, have we had an open meeting here or not? So the best solution to that is maybe to let us know about some of those things, not that we have to attend, but so that we can make sure that that responsibility has been attended to.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Dave? All right, Dave, thank you.
Sure.
Now, public comment of a general nature. General public comment. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Do I wait long enough?
You want me to sign in, Mr. Mayor?
That'd be great.
Okay. Rob Sands, West Lawrence. Since I didn't get a chance at the counting on election night to say congratulations. Congratulations, Commissioner Boley, Commissioner Herbert, Commissioner Soden. Thank you, Commissioner Amix, for your service as mayor. And thank you, Commissioner Farmer, Mayor Farmer. And just good luck to everybody. God bless. And I know I'm excited to watch what this commission does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Any other public comment? All right. So now future agenda items.
Mayor, Commissioners, I don't have much to add. I mean, you're starting to see that we've got some items there that are listed. I also think, Scott, I haven't had a chance to talk with you. I think we're trying to calendar the Black Hills Energy appeal on HRC denial of demolition of the Quonset huts there on 8th Street.
Right.
So Mayor, I'll probably be working with you about when to schedule that. I think we've got a few items because we've been in a little, couple of week hiatus on a few things, but it'll probably start picking up. But we'll work on that. I think if we're going to schedule some study sessions, we may be sensitive about how lengthy we're going to have some meetings.
Okay. Do we have any commission items tonight?
Mayor, if I could, and I appreciate it, and believe me, I don't want to challenge you on your first evening as mayor. Question about, comment about the meeting schedule and where we're going to hold meetings. You talked about a little bit a couple weeks ago, I guess, about taking out into the public arena somewhere. One suggestion that I would have is I would think that any of our formal meetings probably should stay in this room. I like the idea of us being available more to the public in any way that we can. If we wanted to take study sessions to another, part of the community that, was being affected by something that we were doing, I think that would be good. But as far as, formal meetings, I think because of the investment that we've had and television and everything else, I think it's important. My own opinion is to have those in this room. Just to put that
I
out
think
there.
that'll be a call that we can all make and talk about. Maybe we can put that on the agenda to have a conversation about as a commission in relationship to how we want to do meetings and structure meetings and that sort of thing. But certainly not tonight. But you did have, do we need to do the 9th Street? You talked about that. Do you
Yeah.
want to?
And we've started the 9th Street project, and I did not appoint a commissioner. I did not appoint a commissioner because I didn't know who we were going to have the last couple of weeks. So I've kind of been filling in on that role. I didn't know if somebody else wanted to take over that position. It's kind of like an acting chair for the 9th Street corridor or not. If not, I guess I can go.
Commissioners, on my point, there are a number of appointments to different city boards that commissioners have. The mayor and vice mayor serve on the Public Incentive Review Committee. We have a designee then ex officio to serve on the Economic Development Corporation. We have someone that also serves on the Joint Economic Development Council. Mayor, you've been appointed to the Destination Management Inc. Board. We need 2 city commissioners to serve on the Metropolitan Planning Organization for transportation issues. So I think maybe what we might want to do is work up a memo that explains all of those. We've got a draft of it that would also then include the 9th Street corridor, and then you all can decide. I guess my concern would be is if you go for one and you don't know about all of them, you might have picked one that you didn't know about. That's a fair comment.
Mayor, I don't mind serving at all. I'm on Horizon 2020. I'm on the Peasley board. Just whatever you need me to do, I'm happy to do. But just thinking if somebody else,
Sure.
wanted to do it,
Be something I'd be interested in, so you and I can have a conversation about that.
Sure.
Perhaps just the 2 of us, though, to avoid open meetings violations.
You got it.
Tony
Dave
applauds over it.
and the mayor, I know that the firefighters are looking for a liaison or a rep or whatever their title is for contract negotiations, and I'd certainly be interested in doing that.
I think that'd be great.
And also similarly for the police negotiations as well. I think we've benefited by having an elected official be part of the management discussions with both the firefighters local and then also the Lawrence Police Officers Association. So again, that might be something to add to that list, and you all could have that maybe next week to decide how you want to discuss among yourselves how to work those out.
Would it be okay with you guys if staff prepared a memo to
That'd be great.
come back with us, and maybe we can put it on the agenda next week to have a conversation about it? Would be okay?
That'd be great.
There's pretty good time commitment. I mean, if there was somebody else that was going to do the police officers, LPOA, I mean, because of the time commitment with that, and it's going to be a very busy time. I mean, I can stay with 9th Street if need be. So,
Okay. Thank you, sir.
happy to
Any
help.
other commission items?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up these study sessions. Definitely, I think the goals are something that we need to look at updating, because I don't think they have for 8 years or maybe 10, I'm not for sure. So I really think that we need to look at updating those. And also, we've talked about a little bit about a study session dedicated to economic development incentives, and potentially if there's any changes that we want to make to those, or add those, or just review them somehow. But bare minimum, just have an overlook of all of them and what they are.
Are there other topics that commissioners you'd like us to look at in relationship to study sessions over the course of the next few weeks? Do we want to talk about city budget issues, capital improvements?
What is,
What are your thoughts?
when is our initial meeting that we're going to have discussions about the budget? It's got to be coming up fairly quickly.
Mayor Commissioners, one of staff's thoughts were to have study sessions. I mean, I think we suggest the next 2 Tuesdays, starting your Tuesdays off with a study session that would work from a calendaring standpoint on the 21st and the 28th. We'd like to talk a little bit about just information about where we are in regards to city services and goals, have some of the department directors come in and speak about some of their concerns. And then our thinking is that once you've got some of this information about where we are in regards to budget and finance and some of the other issues that the department directors want to bring up, then as the Vice Mayor indicated, then a good discussion about setting goals, maybe working on a goal statement or an articulation of goals would be good. Again, with the chronology being getting information and then setting the goals. We think that chronology may make more sense than setting the goals and then getting information afterwards. So that's how we've envisioned having study sessions where you're getting budget information and asking questions and making good inquiries on those things. And then come May and June, working on goal statements and articulations. That's one way to work it.
Would it be okay with the commission if Vice Mayor and I work together on coming up with some possible topics for the study session, maybe to go out? Would that work for everybody's calendar the next 2 Tuesdays? First of all, I guess is the most important question. And what we've typically done is had study sessions from 4 to 6 when we started the meetings at 6:35. And it seemed like 2 hours, although it was a long time, it wasn't really long enough. So I don't know if 2 hours is a good time or if we would want to, I know, Matt, with your schedule.
I could be there by 4.
Okay. So that gives us an hour and a half to, could you guys do it earlier than 4?
Yeah. Yeah.
What time?
On a Tuesday, we could make 3 happen.
So would the next 2 Tuesdays at 3 work for the group?
Yeah, I think so.
So 3 to maybe 5:15 and then a half-hour break for dinner. And the next question is, do we want to do them here or do we want to do them somewhere in the community?
Well, I want to make sure, because I've attended some study sessions here as just a public viewer, that the microphones sometimes either weren't turned on or you can hear people, and even though you're sitting right over there, the way the sound in this room is structured, it was really difficult to hear. So I just want to make sure that they are amped.
Okay.
I'm happy to meet here.
Okay. That's fine. All right.
I think if we're only going to have 30 minutes
Yeah.
prior to
Okay.
that,
All right.
wouldn't be logical to put it anywhere else, really.
All right. So we'll work on an agenda for those 2 meetings and send it out to the group by Thursday. And is it okay? All right.
Do you mean this Thursday?
Yep.
Let's work on that Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Anything else?
So 3 to
3 to
5:15
5:15.
on the 21st and 28th.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And feel free to send me your ideas, obviously, and things that you guys might want.
Absolutely. All right. Dave, do we have any other business to discuss tonight?
I don't think so. We covered everything we need to.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn by Commissioner Amix, seconded by Commissioner Herbert. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good night.